I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. All those in favor? All right, the minutes have been
Aye.
approved. Yes.
First, second.
Board member comments. Mr. Kelly,
I don't have any comments today, Mr. Chairman.
that's a comment in and of itself, but thank you. Mr. Campbell.
None from me, thank you.
All right, Mr. Yudd.
None for me.
I have to say something.
All right, Mr.
Uh,
Bonfils.
I hope everybody enjoys the upcoming 3-day weekend.
There you go. Mr. Moody.
No comments.
All right, Mr. Vega, is he online?
Yes, I am. No comments. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I have one comment. It's, Jewel sent an email out today. I thought it was an interesting read from Bluefield Research. And they said that the next 10 years, utilities are going to spend $500 billion upgrading, making improvements. And there's one interesting quote in there, which I think was really pertinent to the presentation that we had at the Finance Committee meeting. And that it says, given the mounting challenges, utilities need to identify ways to transition from reactive fixes to more advanced long-term asset strategies that improve resilience and contain costs. So I think we're way ahead of that. And it's nice to read that in a publication and then, have it translate into what we learned the past week. So long-term asset management program is great and we're doing all the right things. I just wanted to throw that out there. And you have homework assignment. You have to go read that when you get home tonight. General Manager's report, Mr. Carnes.
Thank you. Good afternoon. A few comments for you today. It's Customer Service Week. In 1992, the U.S. Congress officially designated this week as a time to recognize the incredible contributions of customer service professionals across the country. At Loudon Water, we believe exceptional service isn't just a once-a-year celebration, it's a daily commitment. Our team consistently goes above and beyond with care, professionalism, and a can-do spirit that makes a real difference in every interaction. In honor of Customer Service Week, I'd like to highlight a few of the wonderful compliments our customer service team has received. Their dedication truly speaks for itself. My call was answered by Hillary, and she was both professional and helpful. Her attitude was both friendly and professional, and I knew I was in good hands with her. My follow-up call was answered by Dunya. She was both professional, helpful, and friendly. I spoke to her again this morning, and she had some more helpful tips for me. Later, I ran outside quickly and met with Ethan, who was replacing a valve on the meter. He explained things to me and had everything fixed in a very short time. I am grateful that Loudon Water has such professional, helpful, and friendly employees who actually care about their customers. Today, with endless voicemails and AI-generated responses, it's so nice to talk to a human being and not wait for 30 minutes to do so. Sending this email to recognize and commend one of your best representatives, Joy, who supported and helped me with all my needs regarding multiple accounts. She is an asset for your company. 5 stars is not enough. Joy gets 10 stars from me. Thank you. And finally, these days, it is nearly impossible to find good service. You have outstanding people, and I'd like to acknowledge these people in the rare cases I find them. So big thanks to everyone in customer service. Loudoun County is hosting a community meeting at the Rust Library in Leesburg on October 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. for the Peonian Springs and Waterford water and wastewater projects. This meeting will be led by Chair Randall, Supervisor Kirschner, and County Admin and General Services staff with support by Loudoun Water staff and the consultants that have been working on the project. An overview of the project will be presented and followed by a Q&A session. Some stats, ERCs through September totaled 4,146. And then a couple reminders for you. Loudon Water will be closed on Monday in observance of Indigenous Peoples Day. Your Finance Committee is scheduled to meet on Wednesday, October 22nd at 8 a.m. And the CIP Committee is scheduled to meet on Thursday, October 23rd at 8 a.m. That's it for me.
Thank you, Brian. Jewel, has anyone signed up to speak public comments?
Yes.
Thank you. Someone make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I make the motion to approve the agenda as presented.
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. The
Aye.
agenda has been approved. Board committee actions. Mr. Bonfils is going to fill in for Mr. Sultan. For
Right.
for
Well, thank you. There were quite a number of our board members. Is the mic working? Our board members were attended this particular one. There was a lot of discussion. The items for the meeting that were for approval was the design services task order for Route 659 Belmont Ridge, 36-inch water main upsizing. And that upsizing included the removal of 9,800 feet 20-inch water main that was installed in earlier and needed to be upgraded to the larger pipe and some 20-inch pipe. There's just a lot of work there. So the engineers that had bid on it, and they awarded the task order for $964,000. And we recommended to put it on the consent. The total amount, the authorized budget with contingency is $1,012,000. Additional costs will be approved by the board. Then there was the approval of the award of civil engineering and surveying related to basic ordering services by Svita. That was Loudon Water had requested proposals and RFPs solicited from quite a number of the engineering companies. The list was fairly long, and it's included in the minutes. The selection was based on 4 qualifications, actually 5 rather. Project team qualifications, firm's BOA experience, the firm's technical experience, value added 15%, and then change management was a big part of that. And the proposals were that had been accepted. I'm trying to find my notes on that. So the committee recommended the board, the general manager execute a 1-year basic ordinary agreement with Dewberry, J2 Engineers, Michael Baker International, Morton Thomas Associates, and Rummel Kepper and Call LLP, with options for 3 1-year extensions for a total of 4 years. And that's on your consent agenda. There were a number of information items. Tom Lipinski provided some information and some more details about the spending report. He seems to always be lower than projected spendings. At some point, those lines will cross. And then our next meeting, as mentioned by our treasurer, is on the 23rd.
Thank you, Mr. Bonfils. Mr. Kelly, Finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met on September 24th. The full committee was in attendance. And we had a real good meeting, very interesting meeting, a lot of information. The first item, which is an action item, and it's on your consent agenda, relates to the statement of policy and rates, rules, and regulations updates for the reclaimed water system. Alton and Kendra gave that presentation. Most of you were present for the September 3rd Water Resources meeting where we discussed this. And so what this was to memorialize that in Loudon's Water's policy. I really appreciate the red lines. That helps a lot. And as one who spent decades doing bank regulations and policies and updates and so forth, I understand the challenges, and it's really an art to make sure it all fits well and there's no repetition or things are at cross purposes. The 2 primary goals of the policy updates are maximizing the year-round distribution of reclaimed water in support of nutrient management. We discussed that at the Water Resources meeting, and ensuring operation of the system will meet level of service expectations. The proposed updates include revising, reorganizing, and adding language to the reclaimed water rate section, water ability charge section, and Rule 5. Rule 5 relates to how the customer will pay for easements and fees and so forth, with charges primarily supporting management of limited reclaimed water allocations going forward. At the meeting, Mr. Yudd made a recommendation that we include language updated language related to future expansion of the reclaimed water system, and that language was crafted after the meeting, so it'll be part of the consent agenda today. The committee approved that and moved everything forward to consent, and the language that was added says Loudon Water will continue to monitor and consider future expansion opportunities of the reclaimed water system that are in alignment with its stated policies and goals. So a good catch by Mr. Yudd to add that language, and that has been incorporated into the policy update. And as I mentioned, that update is before the board as a consent item. We also had a real good, very thorough presentation by Jessica Czar on the asset management program, in line with what your comments were about being prepared for future repair and replacement and so forth. The last update was in 2019, so it was due, but it was very good look at what's in the ground, what's coming, what's industry standards and so forth. So we're prepared in case in the future we need to either repair or replace. The objectives of that repair and replacement assessment include comprehensive capital asset analysis of long-term repair and replacement needs, ensure sustainable rate planning, and promote strategic data-based decision-making. So that was, I think that was an excellent, I think the committee felt that that was an excellent presentation. You have a lot of very good information, and it's nice to know we're looking forward to expected expenses. And then Sally gave the monthly financial summary, and I won't go into that in a lot of detail, but just suffices to say that operating and non-operating revenues are above budget. Operating and non-operating expenses are below budget. So we're pretty much in line with where the budget should be. That's my.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. Thank you very much. Consent agenda. Someone make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'd be happy to make the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Information items, no new information. Monthly reports, finance summary.
Good afternoon. Yep, Mr. Kelly just summarized it, but we are doing what we said we would do in the mid-year review. ERCs are, like Brian said, 4,100-ish on our way to our reforecast of 5,000. Cash and cash equivalents, that's one thing, was at 428.9 million, and the weighted average yield was 3.78 as of August. Any other questions?
Anyone have any questions? All right, great. Thank you, Sally. Water Resource Management by Jessica Edwards Brandt and Kinsey Downs.
So Jessica's not with us today, so I'm going to cover her part of the presentation. So looking across our categories, we're really looking in good shape with normal status, except for the regional drought status, which I'll hit in a future slide. But really, stepping through this, Potomac River withdrawals averaging about 12 million gallons per day versus our total system demand of 33 million gallons per day for the month of September. While it's been a bit low here, it's not outside the range of normal in terms of Potomac River flows. So that's why you're seeing the normal status there this month for the September report. And then looking basin-wide in terms of precipitation, again, we're showing this as normal. It's slightly below, a couple of inches below the annual average, but that's still within the normal tolerance. And then we did have the one area of caution. So with the Potomac River flows being toward the bottom of the normal band, that has triggered the ICPRB standard protocols for when flow at the point of rocks gauge drops below 2,000 CFS. They start increased daily monitoring of those flows and messaging to the regional suppliers. So that's why we have placed this one in the caution status for the month. And then looking at Goose Creek, which is currently our standby source, everything looking normal there in terms of flows. And then looking to Beaver Dam Reservoir, it is full currently, so we have that in the normal status. And then this is our final slide here, just a snapshot of our water supply assets. Any
Thank you.
questions?
Here, just one question, Alton. Just my curiosity, Goose Creek raw water pump station remains in standby mode. I understand that's been that way for a while. Do you periodically run that just to test it, just to make sure that, like, exercise it, just to make sure it's working in good working order?
We do, and so we conducted one of those exercises a couple of months ago, and and things were working okay. I think it ends up being like a 24-hour period of supply to trap rock during the period of exercise. We are currently underway with repairs on the electrical switchgear for one of the two pumps down there at the intake, because during a test the previous year, there was an electrical failure. And so we're in the process of addressing that for one of the two pumps.
Good 1950s technology.
Those pumps are the 1959 pumps, so it's pretty astounding.
Okay, thanks.
Is there anyone else have any questions for Alton?
I think I do. Related topic, and you can kind of tell me where this best fits in, but there was recent media coverage on I guess a citizens group sponsored groundwater study in rural Loudoun. And so it sort of touches on some of the topics we have talked about earlier about, engagement in that general realm of issue, but also the fact we have community systems where we are groundwater dependent. Is there anything new or timely about where we stand with that stuff, or should I hold that question for another topic?
Mark actually had some comments.
Good
as we
timing.
lead into that. Yes.
So, if that kind of wraps up and we can get back to it, we had planned that I was going to share a little bit about that.
Okay.
Figured, several of the board members probably have seen that, for those who haven't, before we get into the second half, which Kinsey will go through kind of our community in Western. So, yeah, a few thoughts on that. So for those who haven't seen it, it is a citizen group, the Loudoun County Preservation and Conservation Coalition, released what they call the groundwater study. We, through some of the different groups we're associated with and get information, we were aware of that pretty quickly. And we've been reviewing it. While it's called a study, we've kind of read through it and sort of see it as an assessment or sort of a report. But we had some questions about it. They accessed a lot of the available published data that the county has, primarily. Some of the stuff from our systems as well that's publicly available. And we did have some back and forth with county admin. They actually shared it with us. We had seen it already, and I spoke to them yesterday. It wasn't done in coordination with county staff, which we wondered if there was any involvement. It wasn't. It was really the citizen group who put this together. And for those who haven't seen it, yeah, it's kind of broken down. Sort of the initial first few sections are around weather patterns over the, kind of the last 50 and more years, and how much that's changing and effects of climate change. And really the more drought in recent years. There's really a second section in the middle of this, which got into pretty good detail about the local geologic formation in primarily in Western Loudoun, and the hydrology characteristics. And again, kind of an assessment of that, and some with the use of, they're able to have access to some of the well data from the county that's been over the years, just what, they've seen through some of that, some changes, and kind of more of an assessment. Again, there was a small section toward the end that sort of speculated on long-term impacts of climate change and drought situations. And really, ultimately, it didn't have a lot of findings or conclusion, other than a general statement and comment that it's just the groundwater in Western Loudoun and at the rate it's been being used is not sustainable. And so again, that was kind of the nature of it. For us, and in a little bit of some conversation with county admin, they haven't spent a lot of time on it. But for us, as we've reviewed it, we see it as now a new resource that's kind of out there that's collected a lot of data. It actually had some references to what we've done, our system, our community systems, we do a pretty good amount of monitoring, and it acknowledged that in there. As you can imagine, all of the private wells across the Western Loudoun, they don't have the same level of monitoring and kind of watching for trends. But what we've seen in ours, the way we've done our systems, in the level of sort of a redundancy in our wells. Ours have held up pretty well and have been acknowledged in there. But, we've seen it as something that has been put out there and, sort of a bit of a call to action. I think, the county admin even acknowledged, hey, it's something that's out there now. And it's going to bring up some conversation. And as we've continued to advance the topic around some long-range studies for the county that we talked about at the retreat, and we've been coordinating with county admin on that. We have another touch point with them. We've been working on some outlines of an approach on some study, and we are going to be getting back with them in November and kind of acknowledge that this groundwater study is another resource that's going to be out there. I think it probably needs some peer review kinds of things, and really a deeper look at it. I'm on the environmental commission for the county, and it had some conversation at there too. So it's getting some attention, and I think it'll just continue to make the issue kind of something that people are paying attention to, which is a good thing.
Thank you for the update.
Mr. Peterson, were there any recommendations from the coalition?
No,
Okay.
none.
We have a problem, but we don't know what to do about it.
And then, when you look at that presentation, there's a lot of red dots. That's the first thing that
Absolutely.
comes out when you look at it. Where did they get the data from? You said it was available by the county, but are they just individual wells? Because there's so many red dots, and I know there's not that many community systems. So I'm assuming they're private wells.
Yeah, in essence, we kind of consider it an inventory of the private wells and their locations in West.
But how does that work? Is there a reporting process that the county solicits a private well owner and says, what's the level of your well? I was just
No,
wondering, how do they
it's
know?
at the outset, when you go to drill it in the first place, you've got to get a permit to drill it.
Correct.
And then then it's sort of there, and there's a report through that drilling process, through the process of the development of it. And then that's it. It's not an ongoing.
So we don't know.
That's probably the bit of the misnomer, it's a characterization of, there are a lot of wells here in terms of quantity, but I think that's probably where what we saw in the assessment, we engaged with the group during the assessment period. There was outreach to us of, hey, are your groundwater monitoring reports for your communal systems publicly available? And they are in board docs. And that's where you'll see in the assessment, when it speaks of our communal systems, they're managed, and we do monitor and look at long-term trends. And we, I think there's a statement in the assessment to that end that we're not really seeing widespread long-term detrimental trends in those systems, because we do have the data that is precisely what you're kind of,
So all those red dots really, I don't understand what they mean. Do they mean that at some point there was a well drill that had this capacity and now it's less?
I think it
know,
simply
so
means there's a presence of a well.
there's a
Yeah.
well.
That's it.
Yeah.
The maps
But they have to-
from Loudoun County
I
GIS.
mean, I'm not disputing that there probably is a groundwater issue out there, but when you look at it, it makes it alarming, like, oh my God, every well's going dry is the first thing because it's red. It's not green.
Right.
So is it accuracy of the data based on information from the new wells? Because overall,
The-
the data would have been captured. That would have.
Yeah, it's really, it's a limited data set. So it's the physical position of these wells, where they're located when they were drilled, going way back in time. I think there were some bits of data in there going back to the year 2000, where when a permit's pulled to drill a well and the driller encounters a dry hole, they don't hit water. I think that's logged as a data point. I remember seeing that in the study. So it's bits of disparate data that, looked at from one lens or perspective could look like a problem, but to Mr. Allen's point, we're not really seeing long-term trend data on that entire map of red dots.
And I just want to be clear that the data, it could be correct. We're not saying it's not, it's just,
Correct.
Right.
I wish there was more data.
And
Yeah,
that's
right.
really what I think Mark was pointing at. It's just, it heightens everyone's awareness in
Right.
that there is more work to do here, and there are
Mr. Vega, you look like you were.
No, from reading the article, I seem to gain from it that they were doing new well drills where there was a previous well.
Okay,
And that with the new well drilling,
so the
they had to go
implication-
deeper.
Okay,
And so those trigger a permit from the county and would be reflected in this. But again, I don't know that it's a scientifically validated set of data. It's just data.
that provides some clarity though. Thank you for that. Mr.
So
Buck.
I've been involved with drilling about a dozen wells in Loudon, and just take Franklin Park. They moved over about 100 meters. It went from a dry well to a well that put out 120 gallons per minute. You know, just by moving 100 meters, same depth. It's very interesting how the hydrology works. I think it's more of an art of understanding it, and more analysis needs to be done with it. And this is just a starting point.
And that's the characteristic of the geology, particularly in Western Loudon.
Thank you. Kinsey, Mr. Downs.
All right, pivoting to Loudon Water Groundwater Monitoring Report for September. As we get this turned around, we are still watch for Raspberry Falls, some estates, mainly due to recharge. And of course, the board's well aware of the precipitation fund we're having and the lack of it this year.
Kinsey, can we get? Oh, okay.
It's coming.
I'll move the slide. There we go.
With the rest of our systems still being in the normal range. I'm gonna skip over the rainfall totals to get to this slide here. Last time, the chairman had a good question about, how can we be under watch for so long? We haven't had any rain. And the image in front of you is two graphs, both monitoring wells. The one on the left is the one I brought forward to the board that showed why we went into the yellow in the first place. And you can see that red line drawn horizontal is the lowest point to date. And you can see it's still kind of cascading down. So we're watching it, and it has seemed to level off. That well is used by the golf course. But in the same system, we have another monitoring well. That's the one on the right. And you can see that it's pretty normal, and it's really not affected by the drought yet. And it just speaks to the variability we have within our systems, especially the ones in the karst. So that's why we're still under the watch, and we haven't really progressed any, even though the rainfall has not occurred.
Can you explain the note to me where it says note? It's just a little confusing for me.
So I think we just want to highlight that all of our trends are based on the monitoring well, why it's drilled, its purpose, its depth, as well as where we have our transducer. So though we may be showing big swings, it may be a shallow well that we're kind of doing maybe near-term surface water. Maybe there's a stream or a creek, or it may be deep and it may be equivalent to our production wells. And so you'll see maybe some little movements like the one on the right. The one on the right is actually really close to our production wells, and we think it's really reflective of how they're performing. So I think it's a note to try to make everyone kind of realize that the data is from a bunch of stuff that comes to our conclusions, and that it's not one single data point or one single well that we're watching. Does that help?
Yeah. Sure.
Say no, it doesn't really help for the following reason. I think those two graphs are specific monitoring. So you had some qualifiers, and I'm totally casual back and forth.
Yeah.
Not like the witness said, but I want to make sure I understand and that my colleagues get. These are specific monitoring wells, and those graphs represent a point in time, and then the box is your conclusion. But in your description, you had a lot of qualifiers. What if? It could be near a stream. It could be, if there could be varying characteristics around this area. Really, I think our expectation is a monitoring well. You are tight on the characteristics of that vicinity. And the lack of inclusion or the unknown is what's really happening down there at the source. We're trying to get as much information.
Mr. Garrett, I'm sorry. Can you speak in your microphone?
I am so sorry.
That's okay. I apologize for that.
No. So really what I'm saying is those wells are specific and they led you to the conclusions that you put in the presentation, but you also had some qualifying disclaimers in your explanation. And really for a monitoring well, I think the characteristics should be static. So you're measuring and you can rest on what you're seeing from the observation. So do you mind just recasting what you were explaining so I get it?
Yes, I advanced to another slide we have in the slide deck. It kind of shows the Selma and Raspberry system, and the yellow stars are our monitoring wells. We have 12 of them. So I think when we try to bring forward a status of warning to the system, we try to understand how each well affects the overall production wells. So you're right, each one stands alone on its own about that certain area or what's happening there. But as a whole, when it comes to maybe the overall recommendation, we do try to take all this into account, as well as with maybe the usage in the system, future forecast, as well as maybe what we can do to maybe shift usage here in certain wells, which is a flexibility we have at Raspberry and Selma.
So I do have a question. How does this chart showing the 19 wells, 12 of them being monitoring and the other 7 operating, how does it relate to the previous chart?
Yep. So the yellow ones you see, I brought two I guess well levels from 2 of those stars. So one was located in Raspberry. It's near the golf course, and the other one is that one up in the northeast that you see kind of almost off the page there. So that's the groundwater levels of the location of those stars.
Kinsey, would it be fair to say that, so based on the previous slide you had showing the trends, when we bring forward a watch status where in maybe that southernmost well near the golf course, we've seen a bit of a decline, but we have this other monitoring well in the north end of the community where it's looking stable. We have this entire system of wells within the community that we're trying to manage as a whole, so that in an abundance of caution, we've placed it in a watch status, but we have so much operational flexibility, and we're only showing 2 of the monitoring wells here, 2 of the 12, but we have data on the others as well. And we're trying to make these decisions based on the collective indicators.
Representation of data is always a bit confusing because I don't know if these are outliers or if they are true mean of the representation of the data set.
Well, is there any monitoring wells that are close to the golf course well that would corroborate the lowness of the functioning well near the golf course? Like, are the monitoring wells near there also showing low?
No, they're showing normal. So if
Okay.
you remember, I brought the one on the left to the board originally showing why we went to watch, and we didn't have that blue peak, if you will, in that one location. And we said we did not get the spring recharge, and we felt if we didn't get any rain, we could see it taper off. We have seen it level off, which is I guess okay, but it's. I think the question you had last time, Mr. Allen, was why isn't that still going? Why is this more of a concern? Why haven't we seen it advance? And I just wanted to highlight with this slide that we have other monitoring wells that are kind of performing seasonally as kind of demonstrated over time.
It's confusing, but thank you for trying to bring us along. We're a little slow.
I think it's something that we can take back and consider. This is certainly a narrow snapshot, and we can think of ways in which we can share this in a bit more holistic way in terms of the whole data set.
It's called dumbing it down.
Holistic.
Holistic. All right. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Kinsey or Elton?
Sorry.
It's okay.
The other point, I think, Terry, to your point, Chair Allen, the proximity to the golf course might help explain why we're seeing the performance or the conditions here. But it also says, if I'm reading it right, lowest resting level since 2018. So 2018 is 7 years since 2018. It's the lowest resting level. Resting level, I think, is it's not in production. So that's an indicator right there. Does that give you concern? Or are there any other follow-up steps that you do when you see resting levels at a low level and a low level that hasn't been seen in that many years.
Yeah, so I think we're tying it mainly just precipitation right now. We have not, we've asked the community to be mindful of their water usage, and they have responded nicely for the time of year and, you know, how long we've been asking them to do that. But we're watching the system, and this data is processed monthly for this board report as well as for our usage. And I do think we're keeping a close eye on it. We are working to advance our program to have natural elevation triggers. We don't have them yet, and they'll be for our production wells, not our monitoring wells, but we're hoping to advance it to have such insight to where we do understand when things need to be scaled back in addition to our observations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's tough, and it's probably important to note, you know, that graph on the left is a snapshot that began in 2019 through present, and I believe, or 2018, and I believe 2018 was the wettest year on record. And so we're looking at this snapshot from that point to now, and we know these past couple of years have been back-to-back drought years. As we continue this long-term monitoring program, that's where we're going to hone in and feel more confident on making the interpretations on the data as well.
Agreed.
Does the golf course share data with us about how much water they use?
They don't give us production numbers, but they do allow us to use our wells for monitoring wells. So we do have the levels.
And then do we know whether I know they have some large ponds there. Do they rely on those ponds to irrigate, or do they specifically rely on the well, or is it a combination? Do we have
A combination, they usually use their wells to fill the pond.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And I think we need to get Mr. Yudd a headset that has a microphone on it. Yes.
You can just hold it. You can just hold it right here.
All right, thank you. Where are we? Water and sewer agreements. No. By water and sewer agreements. This is the Jack Vega report.
Good afternoon, board members. There's just one item I'd like to bring to your attention. On the second page, there was a agreement for a reclaimed water extension that is eligible for oversize and reimbursement. And that was about 3,000 linear feet of reclaimed water line, and their oversize and reimbursement is eligible for up to $325,000 of oversize and reimbursement.
There was something on there that said Golf LLC. What was that? If you look at the entity, I think it might be up. At least I noticed it earlier. Is it there? What is that?
Yeah, that was just for an easement dedication.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions for we?
Terry's always looking for more places to play golf.
Yeah.
So if there's some
One-
new.
yeah. No, it was the raspberry issue got me thinking.
Chair, I don't have a specific question, but I think this is the right spot in the meeting to raise it to Mr. Tran, if it's okay.
Sure.
It's about something that I think the county's going to do with regard to the review of affordable, attainable housing projects and how they're going to perhaps expedite, I don't know if that's the right term, but redo the review process so it happens quicker. And I think Loudon Water's included in somehow. And so I think I'm going to have a question at some point, and we or Mark or Alton could tell me when the right spot to raise it. If you feel that our organization here has to review something quicker, then there might be other plans that don't get reviewed as quickly, perhaps. I don't know if that's the case, but we see so much reporting from at Finance Committee on the breakdown of land uses that are coming through, supporting ERC magnitude, supporting revenue magnitude. So for us, a segment of the charts that we see all the time that would go quicker and faster through our review, ostensibly, that might be something we want to talk about. You don't have to talk about it today, but I think that's a topic that is coming in this particular section of updates that we get. So I just raised that. If you have any comment now, it'd be great. If not, we can save it till later.
Yeah, I believe that the county has been working with some members of the development industry regards to affordable housing, as you mentioned. My understanding that item is going before TLUC this month, And I think the planning department at the county is considering 100% affordable housing products. And I believe what they have is for the legislative portion of it. So this is for rezonings and those type of applications. So we're going to continue to monitor what the county does in terms of TLUC, and obviously as it goes before to onto the Board of Supervisors. But we'd like to see what the county does regards to that. And then obviously we'll take that into advisement in terms of, any, processes that we would need to do.
Say thank you very much for that update. And I would just say if there's a workload implication for our staff here at Loudon Water, I think all of us would want to be able to be helpful to see if that's the case and if resources are needed or not. So thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. All right, there is no closed meeting, so we can move to adjournment. So make a motion.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
3 seconds.
Aye.
All right.
We are adjourned. Get out there and enjoy the weather before the nor'easter comes.